Last time on Dice Fall and Everyone Dies.
Do you guys remember the spider woman?
You mean the one that we gave Voss's body to? Oh, that Voss mentioned.
Presenting herself. Hello. I see my reputation precedes me. That there is a massive throne constructed of old bones, broken furniture, all tied together with ropes and chains. And arrayed in concentric circles around this throne are skeletal corpses of small, oblong-skulled humanoids.
It's hard to intimidate when you're scared as balls.
Are balls often scared?
So the Vargas looks down at you, this wicked grin across his face.
I wonder how you taste.
Welcome back to Dice Fall and Everyone Dies. I'm your GM Chris, and today let's talk about metagame and how that term relates to tabletop RPGs. Our culture is full of games, from sports to gambling to relationships to primarily entertainment. The term metagame gets bandied around everywhere and takes on a variety of contexts. The core definition of metagame, though, is the game about the game. Now, this often leads us to conflate metagame with ideas like strategy, or, if you give it a bit of a negative spin, maybe even cheating. The term itself, though, is rather neutral. When we apply metagame to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, we must define the two different kinds of games being referenced. The first game is one detailed in the core rulebook. How to generate characters, adventures, treasures. These belong in the first game. Social interactions, narrative building. These are also part of the first game. Now, what is then the second game? Well, here's where people generally begin to disagree. For our purposes, the second game being played at the table is the one between the game master and the players. In this game, we ask questions like, is the chest sitting in the middle of the room legitimate, or is that seriously a mimic? Or could all of the doors of the castle actually be trapped? If my character has seen a troll once, but as a player I know they're weak to fire, can I save the actions for knowledge checks and just throw a fireball at the monster? The rules of the second game are as much less defined and will often shift between groups. What I believe keeps this fluid and the terms difficult to really specifically define is how the concept of knowledge is differing between players and their characters. A player who loves their game system can tirelessly research every resource, but when they make a character in a game, separating that passionate knowledge can be very difficult. And using that concept, I think we can further define the second game as a game of how knowledge is introduced, used, and transformed between the game master and the players. I think this is a useful definition for when defining metagame. Now, our game is very susceptible to players buying their own copies of the adventure path and reading ahead. As the game master, I have the discretion to ignore, encourage, or discourage this kind of behavior. And if my players know that there's a monster X in chapter Y of book Z, and they know it might be a really difficult encounter, they could prepare in a very specific way. Their choice to alter their previous playstyle would be a type of metagame decision. In versus games like card games, knowing and maximizing the effects of a metagame is actually expected as well as considered high-level play. But in cooperative storytelling games like Pathfinder, that choice feels much more like a spoiler. A metagame decision is not like picking up on foreshadowing, because if something is introduced narratively, that's part of the intrigue and suspense, and thus something that characters can legitimately react to. But there's also degrees of spoilery metagame choices. The lines are vaguely defined by the idea of what is reasonable for a character to know when there's not an obvious exposure to the knowledge. Let's go back to that troll example. Stories about fearsome trolls and fire damage are likely noted somewhere, like in Bard's Tales or in other types of references, where that weakness can be exploited. Maybe a player knows a tradecraft in real life, but they haven't put that skill down on their character sheet yet. Worse examples might be deliberately checking for traps and then failing a check, but you know as the player that there is a trap there. When you use the solution anyway, even though you've already shown that your character doesn't know a trap is present, it throws a lot of dissonance into the group. And so if you were going to avoid a trap anyway, why'd you even ask to roll with your GM? Now, potentially the worst metagame choices are based on logical jumps that you derive out of familiarity between the players and the GM. An example of this would be keeping an eye on a new NPC because in your last game they turned out to be evil and you don't trust them. Well, that's really kind of a metagame choice and you're short-circuiting a lot of narrative there. Another version might be changing the layout of a dungeon so that it breaks narrative cohesion just because your players guessed your oh-so-subtle twist. And this is just as bad. If your players guess that everyone is dead, don't make it worse. Sometimes you just gotta lean into it. Now, the Game Master, though, does have a lot of leeway in the matter of metagame, and that's because the GM is there to manage multiple facets of the game simultaneously to focus on having fun with every player. The line gets crossed, though, when you have something like the villain suddenly disabling every member of the party perfectly, even though it's the first time that they've met. That there's not been any type of foreshadowing or opportunity for players to interact with story beats. These are just examples of one-sided metagaming that, if it's not fun, why do it? I have a personal litmus test I like to use to limit metagame decisions in cooperative narrative games. If I could look at an action and think it's petty if it was done to either me or a friend, and or whatever the idea I have is obviously detested by the table I'm at, I should probably reconsider the choice. There's probably a more entertaining option to go with. Now, because segues are hard, if you enjoy the episode, please leave a rating or comment on your platform of choice. Besides letting us know what you're thinking, the feedback really helps the show grow immensely. Links for everything and all the cool stuff are down in the doobly-doo below the podcast. This week, Sterling over on our Facebook page asked a really fun question and asked if taffy was a candy or baked good, what would she be? And after deep deliberation and soul-searching, taffy is not in fact a form of saltwater taffy, but is truly a cotton candy icing-covered jumbo cinnamon bun with sprinkles on top. News broken here. She's a cinnamon bun with cotton candy icing. That sounds like it could rot your teeth out. That's fine. It's fine. Now, if that was only enough sweetness to save Stheno from the jaws of a terrible demon in the bowels of the goblin blood caves, why don't we go ahead and catch up with the party and see how they're going to face down this fiend? So the bar guest looks down at you, this wicked grin across his face.
I wonder how you taste, Diabolist.
And he makes a jaw strike against you. Does a 28 hit?
You know it fucking hits.
With his jaws on you.
Wait, Diabolist?
Yeah, he called you a Diabolist.
Fucking rude.
The fuck is
You
that?
take 25 points of damage from the bite.
Okay.
And then he brings another claw in at you. Does a 14 does not hit.
No. And
25?
yes.
The second claw that he brings in from the side, though, does. So that's going to be his claw damage. That's good for that part. It's not the worst thing in the world that could have happened. So the first part of his claws coming into you deals 8 points of damage. But then the injection of 6 points of damage of poison into the wounds and a persistent bleed of 1 now being affected onto you is not particularly pleasant.
Healing stops bleeding effects.
So you can do a treat wounds to stop the bleed, but healing does not automatically stop bleeding.
And only treat wounds if you got medic, right?
No, there's the treat wounds action. So if you have medicine skill, you can treat wounds.
You don't
Battle
have
medic allows you to. You just have to be trained in medicine.
Oh.
And battle medic allows you to allow them to regain HP.
Oh, okay.
So a battle medic would be one that you could do a treat wounds with that, or you could do a battle medic to gain HP back. But it wouldn't stop the bleeding until you did the treat wounds to stop the bleed. Demos. You just saw a massive set of jaws clamp down onto Stheno, and then this claw enter in through her armor into the side.
Can I take a free action real quick?
Sure.
Can she spit on him?
You could spit into his fur, but right now y'all are kind of ear to ear in a gruesome lover's embrace.
That's fine. She's gonna spit on him.
You're so good at foreplay.
Demos.
Okay, let's start using soothe here.
Actually, if you can battle medic him, either Alec or
Stheno's down to 12.
right.
What is Alec down to?
Alec is doing better than Stheno presently.
But he has 8 bleed damage.
He's going to take
5
persistent bleed as 1 a turn, unless it says like persistent 1d6 bleed. But the problem is that if they go negative, the 1 bleed is enough to increase their wounded and dying value each round.
Does
Wait,
soothe
I have
handle
22
bleed?
hit points.
You really got to carry the 10.
Yeah, always carry the 1.
Okay,
It's very important.
for Alec,
Yes,
does soothe handle bleed damage?
it does not. It heals.
Okay.
So you'd have to do a treat wounds
Well,
to stop the bleed.
battle medic.
Now, it's not the healing form of treat wounds, right? This is the staunching the bleeding, stabilizing form of treat wounds.
Would stabilize work?
If they were dying, yes.
I'm just gonna buy a tiny little pocket calculator and start doing that.
But battle medic should just do all of that for him. So
They are 2 separate kinds of actions. So you can treat wounds to stop the bleed and then battle medic if you want to spend your whole round doing it.
well, I gotta do something for him.
You are pretty much right next to him.
Yeah. So the first one is that's just a medicine check, right?
Yeah, so your medicine check, you need to beat a 15.
Send that up. That was a 1.
That
Let's
is the
not.
4th button used to save your beloved Alec in his leather pantalones.
15 plus 8, 23.
23, so you have stopped the bleed on Alec.
Okay. And
So now you want to use a battle medicine on him?
yes. That is 16.
16 is enough to give him 2d8, and we'll use up your battle medic on him for the day.
Yeah, well, I can use soothe on him later if I need to. 9
9 points. So
I
that
think
brings him
additional.
up to 44 health. Now,
Alright, soothe stand.
your battle medicine plus your treat wounds each cost an action. You have 1 action remaining.
Let's use soothe on Stheno.
Does soothe cost a single action, or does it cost 2 actions?
I believe it costs just 1. Let me double check. Where the hell did it go? Oh no, that is 2 actions. Frig.
You wanna
Inspire
move-
something.
Do you want to move up to behind Stheno to
Inspire
begin
defense.
treating?
Yeah, let's move up behind her. I'm assuming I need a move to get to her.
Right, and so you can move in between, so you can be between Alec and Stheno in the middle of the hallway, and that will use your last action for the turn.
That'll do it.
Taffy.
Don't run off.
Okay, so what are health pools at now?
22.
45.
I got 39. But
Taffy's
I'm
gonna
only 5
fling
down.
out a hand and use 2 actions to cast heal on Stheno.
Nice.
So it's 1d8 plus 8.
Do you want me to roll or do you want to roll?
I'll roll. I'm just gonna find d8. So that's 12.
Good roll. So that leaves you with 1 action remaining.
Shield.
So, taking a play from Stheno's handbook, Alec is going to delay until Stheno goes. Stheno, you are presently bleeding. Beep! Take a point of damage.
That's fair. She is very angry right now.
Come, lover. Show me what you've got.
Gross.
I'll use your body for my new trophy.
What you get?
Do you need the box? Yay.
Is that another natural 20?
Yeah, it is.
You need those natural 20s.
Fuck
need to
you.
not hand me this over my.
So I'm going to take it this was a power attack.
I have small little arms.
What you got?
Overhand chop. Crit effect. 1d8 persistent bleed damage.
Nice.
So, hang on. That's 1d12 plus 1d8 plus another d12
It's 3d12.
4d12 because she crit.
plus another d12
So it should be 4d12 plus
another
8 plus 1d8. So the maximum amount of damage we're looking at here can be upwards at 60 points of damage.
But he's got damage resist, so it's probably half of that.
Not half.
So that's 41 flat damage. And then 5 persistent bleed.
That one hurt. Oh.
Does he look bloodied now?
The sword overhand chops in with all of Stheno's power and hits down, and you think you've hit his collarbone.
I love it when they play rough.
I don't like this guy.
And he's standing on the ledge, right?
He is.
She's then going to attack again
Sparta kick him off.
to Brutus shove him off with her sword.
Sparta kick.
Okay.
-5?
Yep. -10 because it's power attack.
Right.
And so you'll be going against his reflex DC.
24.
What?
Fails.
Oh,
That's fair.
damn.
We're
'Cause
not supposed
initially
to
it's
fight
an
this
attack.
guy.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
Alec
I
can't
really
get
need you
in
to
the
kick
way.
his nuts off.
Stheno's too mad to move out of the way.
He draws out a javelin and attempts to throw a javelin at the beast.
Alec does?
He's got a couple of them for a reason, and he can't get in.
He's trained to do it.
He's just had very poor capacity. I know you hate it when I do this, but it's the only option I have. And he launches it.
Alec, there's not a single thing you do that I hate.
Oh.
No, I don't like the javelins.
He nails it squarely in the shoulder when he does it. It looks like that it would have gone through the shoulder elsewise. But now it sticks out of the Barghest's hide like it is a pincushion needle. And he just laughs. Just laughs at the Hell Knight's attempt to damage it. Kazlin. He dealt 9 points of
I did
damage.
41 damage!
And it's bleeding.
That's true.
Does he get a new d8 every time there's a new round?
No, the persistent bleed is 1 unless it says a persistent D something.
Yeah,
It
it says
did.
a persistent 1d8.
So yeah, 1d8 every round.
Oh, okay, cool. Let me know when I need to roll that, because I don't know.
Yep, I'll let you know when it's his turn. By the way, it's right after Kazlin. Kazlin!
Yeah.
He does look bloodied. He's got this giant gash that he got kicked off the side of Stheno's blade for, but he is still standing his ground.
Okay. And I still have the spot between us because of Stheno.
Right, Deimos is right behind you.
Okay. Alright, well, I'm gonna do what I
Like, to be able to hit that, he went, like, Alec threw that the best you've ever seen him throw it, to be able to miss everyone in the way. He rolled a 19 on that. He rolled 5 on his damage with his strength. And Alec is now sad inside.
Why?
Because he didn't even do an actual point of damage to it.
What?
What?
Is this a Barghest or a greater Barghest?
Dun dun dun!
This is a greater Barghest, isn't it?
What's the CR on this?
You'll find out when you're dead. If
We're dead? Is that what you're saying?
It's fine. Kazan, what you got?
I'm gonna set him as my hunt prey.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't do that earlier, so I was too scared.
So you got 2 actions.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, fucking Jesus.
He is tasty.
Okay, I'm gonna do another feint. This time I get a +2 on that because he's my target.
And that's going against his will DC?
Perception.
Perception DC.
So I got to roll good.
Yep.
Oh, Dicey. Don't let me down. Nope. That is a 22.
22 does not pass that.
Alright, well, I'm going to just go for the attack. 26.
26 to hit?
Yep.
Hits.
Okay.
Does he take full bleed on that? No, or does he have a resistance to that?
It says resistance physical on there, but I think it's a bit weird for him to have. I think that's more incoming damage, so I think the bleed effect should cut through that. To me, that's most fair because then you essentially eliminate all bleed effects, and that doesn't seem appropriate.
5.
5 points of damage.
Yeah. So
You try
0
cut.
damage?
So you tag him, but you don't feel it actually piercing his skin.
That's what I thought.
Roll 1d8, eh?
I'm metagaming, but only for myself. 6.
6.
Let me give you another kiss.
And he chomps down on you. He likes his foreplay.
Gross.
I need to know Stheno's AC one more time.
23.
He has just critically bit you with a 34.
So she's dying now.
I gotta roll damage. What's your HP at?
33.
That was his to hit.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So, with his bite, let me do my math. At least it wasn't a natural 20 hit. How much HP did you say you had?
33.
You are now dying 1.
Thanks,
as he
Chris.
deals to you 37 points of damage on his critical bite.
Cool.
Jesus fucking Christ.
The good news is y'all can now get through Stheno.
He then casts a spell and begins blinking in and out
Yeah.
of reality.
Are we dying? Is this where we die? I think Taffy's gonna have to do some magic at him. I'm not sure if our hits are gonna.
Stheno is also still under her bleed effect.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, I am. Does that increase me to dying too?
Not until your turn.
Cool.
Demos.
Okay, we're fixing that, like, immediately.
So for you to get to Stheno, you have to move in front of Kazalin.
I thought I was right next to her.
So Kazalin maintained his spot here. So you're in the space in between Alec and Stheno. So you can get to her, but you have to get in front of Kazalin to do so.
Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
Our weapons are magical.
But if I'm right,
Uh-huh.
like, I was under the presumption that I had moved right up to her.
Yeah, I've forgotten Kaz was there.
Okay. Move me there.
Okay.
One move.
Now,
and
the issue that this gives to you is that you are now in the melee range of the Barghest.
I'll deal with it. That's definitely a
Why
screw.
does she go
so,
into
like,
dying mode so much?
Because she is a frontline fighter.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the button. We are just running through all of Demos' options. Was that a treat wounds?
yes,
What'd you get?
I rolled a 1 twice.
Oh.
Ah!
At least that
switch
wasn't.
dice.
At least that wasn't a battle medic.
This is the one that keeps giving me 20s, and
If it makes you feel any better, the Barghest takes his attack of opportunity on you.
Why would that make him feel better?
Does a 29 hit?
yes, a 29 hits, Chris.
It doesn't crit though, does it?
I have an AC of 19, so yes.
Oh. Okay.
We don't have a healer. Now. Because I've used my
I'm
spells,
not
you've
dead
used yours.
yet.
Take 27 points of regular damage,
My eraser went, but
1 poison, and 3 from the bleed effect, and you are now have a persistent bleed.
okay.
You may resume your actions.
I have.
So the treat
How
wounds
much
is-
damage was that in total?
in total.
I'm very bad at numbers.
Yeah, so am I, and I jumped onto another thing before holding them into my head.
27, 4, and 1, so 35 or 32.
There we go. Thank you, Zach.
Okay.
Are you still up?
Barely. I have
You have
7
one action
points.
left.
Friggin'. Well, I want to get her up, so let's use a soothe on her.
You have one action.
You can battle medic. You tried treating wounds first for her bleed.
Okay. I'm gonna have to battle medic myself then. 16, so...
16 is a success. That's
barely
2d8.
made it. Just barely made it there. 13 for myself. So that puts me at 20.
Who's next?
So after Demos will be Taffy.
Just a reminder, guys, Stheno did buy everybody lesser healing potions and pass those out when we went to the Vaz battle, and we never used them.
Yep.
Oh!
So you have
we
those.
have lesser, and some of us still
And a
have
moderate.
moderates.
Stheno can't use hers because she's dying.
So we need to stabilize Stheno and shove one in her mouth.
All right, Taffy, it's your turn. What you got?
I'm gonna use a spell slot and cast another heightened magic missiles.
Excellent. So that means you're going to be sending 6 bolts, right? 2 per each one. So that is going to be 64 plus 6. So this has a damage range of 10 to...
42. 42. 66 plus 6 is what you said?
No, 64 plus
Oh,
6.
30.
So, yeah.
It's not gonna be enough to kill him or even scratch him, but
That's not technically true. In fact, magic missile happens to be force damage, right? And energy damage tends to cut through most resistances.
well, and it's magical too, and I can read.
Taffy may just save the day and kill him.
Plus 6, 26.
Nice.
That is some good damage. He looks exceedingly bloodied, Taffy.
If you guys can keep me alive another round, I can do one more of those.
Stheno, you are bleeding.
Yep.
So you take your bleed
Yep.
at the top of the round, putting you at dying 2.
Yep.
That means you need to roll a flat 12 to stabilize.
That is an 18.
An 18, you are stable
Brilliant.
at wounded 1 with a bleed effect.
That's fine.
Wait, wouldn't the stabilizing stop the bleed?
No. Yes.
Isn't that
We'll say
what-
yes.
Yes.
We'll look it up later. We'll
Isn't
say
that what
yes.
stabilize does?
So now she's wounded 1. Yes. So she's
Stabilize
stable.
takes her out of the dying condition.
And she immediately wakes up with another pissed off look
You're
on
not
her face.
awake.
Oh,
You're
well,
unconscious.
never mind.
She's still conked out, she's just not dying.
But she looks pissed off in unconsciousness.
If it didn't get rid of the dying or the bleeding, the next round of bleed, would she go back into dying 1?
So
If
she
that
would
happened.
she'd go directly to dying 2 because of the wound.
Yes.
So instead of being at dying 3, she'd be at dying 2, and then she'd have to roll to stabilize again if the bleed doesn't come off. But we'll just say it comes. We'll say it goes off now because Demos is trying to do all the patching.
Damos is trying to remember how band-aids work.
Yes.
When I dig into the Snorlax, I can always find the right D20.
Alec is going to move up over to Damos's position, standing above Damos, who is knelt down trying to heal himself and Stheno, and Brutus shoves the guy
If he
off.
succeeds, I'm going to be so mad.
So, first he's got to succeed on the strike, and rolling a 10 misses on the strike
Yes.
and can't complete that through. So he is going to attempt to grapple the larger creature.
Oh my god.
What is he doing?
Does he have Titan?
You can do one size category larger.
Oh,
You can't. Titan allows you to go 2 size categories larger,
gotcha.
but fails and instead would have forced the attack of opportunity if it hadn't already been used. And instead stands over Damos, blocking the way for what's going on. Now this is kind of shifted things out, and y'all are very much kind of stacked on top of each other here. So this is going to make Kazlin's strikes even more difficult against this beast.
Get out of my way, guys! God, you're getting away. Gotta use my little +8 halberd the whole time, like that's doing anything.
All right, Kazlin.
Spoiler alert, it's not.
You could always critically succeed.
The Barghest looks very bloody after what was done to it. But with it blinking in and out of existence, it is even harder.
God damn it, I forgot about that. It goes after Caslin, right?
I'm gonna do a demoralize.
Okay.
The +8 on that, or +2 on that, because he's a Tarjay. God dang it. I'm gonna give you my last thing, because I'm tired of not doing anything.
Thank you, Caslin. How many more do you have left? Maybe enough to trade your names?
Let's
Maybe
just say
tell us
that
about
last-
the network.
Let's just think that last one was a bad decision.
T-Mobile?
I don't have anything left.
The new subsidiary on a sprint. Was it a 1?
No, it was a 2. I got a 3 the first time and a 2 the second time.
Hey, even if that is a critical fail, at least it's not a natural 1 bringing in a critical fail card.
Well, I can't crit fail demoralize. There's only a success.
Oh, good, because that wasn't an attack. That's positive.
Yeah.
He just really wanted it to work.
I did. I was just so annoyed that I haven't been doing anything. Alright, well, I guess I'll attack with the halberd now. 17.
17 misses.
And do it again. No, I'm not, because I'm going to crit fail that one. I just feel it. So, nothing. I'm done.
Do you not have a bow?
Yeah. But I would still have to do the negative, what?
It'd
Negative?
be -5 at this
Yeah,
point.
I just meant,
I'm
like,
just
does your
rolling,
bow
like-
have a higher plus to attack than your...
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Plus, generally, bows damages are less as well. So if something has a physical
I
resistance...
mean, if it could hit...
So the Barkest,
Wait,
Is-
it's his turn?
it is his turn.
7 damage.
Is he dead? Did he die?
Did he just fucking bleed out and die?
I hope so.
The Barkest's eyes go wide as his lifeblood flows out from Stheno's slash. The last thing he sees blinking in and out of the ethereal plane were these missiles of force slamming into him, hitting him every time he blinked in and out unerringly, and bringing him to 1 hit point, preventing him his next turn being about to run. Unable to heal his own bleed, his life essence flows out
I think we deserve to level up after that fight.
as he falls back off.
We are
cliff.
now level 5.
Caslin rolls to
There's
teabag.
no way.
Taffy rolls to kick it in the face 3 times.
Well, you have to get down the cliff first. Stheno is
Dana's still unconscious, guys.
unconscious.
Okay, so we're out of battle, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
I'm going to stick one of these stupid potions in her mouth. Damn it. The lesser one. I've got a lesser.
Am I the only one who didn't take
What
damage,
is
Evan?
the...
Yes.
yes.
No, I didn't take
Well,
damage.
Taffy didn't take any either.
Oh, one of the
For
lesser
one
ones.
save the entire fucking game we've been playing.
'Cause you
2d8 plus 8.
played like
2d8
a caster
plus
this
8.
time.
Taffy didn't
Guys,
take any damage.
Guys,
How does it
for a
feel?
second.
I'm normally
I'm just
the one
looking at you.
dead or dying.
Well,
next
now
to you.
Stheno is.
See, 11 plus 8, 19? That's
Yeah,
how
okay.
that works?
That's fine.
Better get ready to fucking medic.
They must
Alright.
give him a little kick.
He's already.
He's down there. Y'all have to go down.
I
Before
thought
you
I
can
was
kick him.
down near him.
You're
I cast
he
I'm
fell.
very bad at
telekinetic
locational.
projectile at his dead body.
How much
3 more
damage do you do?
times. Oh, cool. Oh, hey, I'm at full. What?
What?
How much did?
Killed me for... Oh no, I'm not. Why am I thinking that? You killed me, right?
Yes,
I forgot about
you were
that.
dropped down to 0, and you were stable in 0.
Now I have 19
And I-
hit points.
Yeah, I just gave her the lesser healing potion.
His dead body takes 8 points of damage.
Technically, your projectiles bounce off of him.
They're magic.
Oh, it's magical physical. Yeah, they pounded him. That'll be fine.
That's why I don't understand. 'cause
We
I-
have to make sure he's dead. What status is he in right now?
He's dead.
He would now be at dying 2.
Can I
Get down there and
draw
stab him in
with
the face,
another magic
please.
missile?
Is it her turn?
I don't think it matters. We're out of combat.
Well, it would be Alec to jump down now, and he'll go ahead and do the link down onto him with the great sword.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of damage resist, if it's a coup de grace, I can't imagine.
Well, you still actually have to hit, and
I thought
so
it was an auto crit if they're.
nope, that's 5e.
Oh, damn it.
but he's able to get 2 actual hits onto him.
Which puts him in
And
dying form.
got to do enough damage to get past his damage resistance.
God damn.
Because he resists physical damage, but not physical damage from magical sources. So that's why,
So that's
Teletenic-
why I'm a little confused. Because
right, your swords and stuff don't count as magical sources in 2E. Physical damage, it counts as that it came from a sword. So for instance, if you had a flaming sword, right?
the fire would be magical, but not the sword.
Correct.
So, like, if Deimos had done, like, the divine weapon,
Yeah,
That
the
would've
divine
gotten through.
weapon would have entirely gone through.
Yeah, I just didn't have enough
Nope.
stuff for
No.
that.
Silver would have only done through silver damage reduction.
I don't think he has a silver damage reduction.
No, he has physical. So his he resists regular fire and physical by 10 each. He had 105 hit points, but he was weak to good damage and lawful damage. But none of y'all deal that type of damage.
Where does that come from?
Cleric.
Abilities, typically. It doesn't matter what your alignment is. The damage source has to be applied to.
So you're saying Stheno's not hitting with a lawful sword?
Correct, because it's not enchanted
Then
lawful.
she's gonna throw it away. Only lawful weapons.
You could find a cleric to help you with that. He would probably be an Asmodean.
She has issues with Asmodean clerics.
Yeah, the next thing you know would be an evil lawful weapon.
It'd be the wrong Asmodean cleric.
So,
Well, that was fun.
but Alec is able to get down there and do it, and so with Safi making sure, Alec is able to and with surprising difficulty, make sure that it is entirely dead.
I loot the body.
So, while we were going through and doing Taffy's looting, Renali can tell you that there's no other enemies that are in this area until you go down a pit that takes you down towards Alcetta's ring. She picks up the terminology from y'all when y'all were describing it. And so...
Is Deimos gonna be medicing?
So if Deimos wants to start rolling the medicine checks while this goes through,
Yes.
do 1 hour's worth of medicine checks.
So one for everybody.
Yep.
I don't need it.
Wait, does
So-
Caslin need anything?
Hold on.
I mean,
let me just start writing these down.
I'm like,
Who needs it? So Stheno,
Alec.
Yeah.
Alec
definitely needs a little bit
You.
of heals himself. He's down to
And
2/3
I'll be
of
last.
his HP.
Kaz.
So Caslin. Okay.
Alright, so Taffy, as you begin looting the body,
And the room. Well, but the body first.
I'll give everybody their numbers in a second.
Taffy, be careful.
you find that on the body itself, there is no actual usable items on it. You find that it is the claws and the fangs there.
What about that staff?
The staff itself appears to be just a very ornate style of quarterstaff. As much a macabre scepter as anything else.
I use detect magic.
And as you detect magic, you actually find that to the west, down the corridor, you get a ping of magic. You want to go check it out?
I've got stuff for everybody.
Renali said there's no enemies remaining in this area.
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
Give me 8 hit points.
So the entrance to this chamber is narrow, and a small creature can move through them, but it's still difficult terrain for you to do so. And if anyone bigger than you, Taffy, would need to be kind of squeezing through to try to get through themselves. And although dingy and moist, this constructed room is more like a cellar than a cave, and through lumpy mounds covered in oilcloth tarps, it lends it an unpleasant air. And as you check around the area, you see stacks and stacks of bones and skulls. Do you happen to have the medicine skill?
I don't believe so.
Speaking of medicine skills, Stheno gets 8, Alec gets 5, Kaslin gets 12, I get 14.
I just have the +1 because of my wisdom. So no.
You can
I have
tell.
nature.
Now this one definitely requires a little bit more of anatomy.
Okay.
You can tell that there's just piles of bones, and most of them are loose, but you can see that there are still a few rib cages that are wearing armor within the pile, and that seems to be where you're finding the magic. One happens to be an intact +1 breastplate.
Give me 1 second. Intact. +1 breastplate.
And the other is a +1 chain shirt. And your perception bonus is +8, right?
+7.
+7? Give me a perception check.
And Stheno's going to take her last moderate healing potion.
That's a 20.
Consume the potions. As you're rooting around, you happen to find a feather token,
For
a
feather fall?
magical gem,
Magical gem. Give me a sec. Okay.
a set of gloves,
Gloves.
and a wand. And as you take time while Demos is completing the healing, you know that the feather token is a fan feather token.
Fan.
The gem is a fear gem. The
Fear.
gloves are healer's gloves.
There's gloves.
And the wand is for web.
Anything else in like the greater D3 area or anything like that?
So in the main cave, the majority of what's around that area are the constructed statues made of bones, as well as the singed spot where the flaming sphere was at.
Yeah.
But as far as usable treasure, no. From what you can tell, it looks like this area that you're presently searching, that you had to squeeze through these tunnels on, was the area used for sleeping as well as storage of all of the figures once they've been knocked around.
Can I tell what type of bones they are? Like, do they look goblinoid, human, or gnomish?
That's what your medicine check is for.
Oh,
You might be able to get Demos's opinion, and he might be able to tell you what's what.
okay. Well, Taffy will wait until Deimos is done healing everybody and ask.
She's going to bring out a skull to show him.
Well, I mean, there's bones everywhere, so yeah.
Demos, after you finish your healing, do you want to squeeze into that room and see?
Sure.
So
Yes.
after you finish your healing, you can tell that the skulls range from goblinoid to elf to human and to orc. And they're all mixed. All the bones are loose. It is a mishmash of bones in here.
Mm.
Was anything that I found gnome sized?
Between the breastplate or the chain,
Or the gloves?
the gloves, if you want to use the gloves, they'll shape down for you. Because they're magic.
Fair enough. What do the gloves do?
They are a set of healer's gloves, and so those are a specific magic item. So the healer's gloves, these are clean white gloves that never show signs of blood even when used to stitch up wounds or treat other ailments. They give you a +1 item bonus to your medicine checks. You can activate them once per day with one action, and you can soothe a willing adjacent creature's wounds to restore 2d6 plus 7 points of HP to that creature.
She's gonna give those to Deimos.
Okay.
And then she's gonna offer the plate to Stheno and the chainmail.
What kind of plate is it?
It's a +1.
There's a breastplate, and there's a chain mail.
What's the breastplate?
+1 breastplate plate. And the chain shirt she'll offer to Bread. I don't know what Bread usually wears, so I don't
I actually
know.
don't have what do I have? Leather. No
I think the chainmail might be better, but it might have a dex limit.
So what is Kaslin's dex?
And the Wand of Web does pretty much what it says it does, right?
Correct.
Cool, I'm keeping that for myself. And what does the fan feather token do?
So the chainmail is a medium armor, gives a base before the bonus +4,
Oh, cool.
and its check penalty is -2. It does have a speed penalty unless you have a 16 strength. What's Kaslin's strength?
16.
So you will be able to shrug off the speed penalty. It is noisy, but it is
Stheno
flexible.
now moves 5 feet faster.
Nice.
Nice.
What's how does the noise gonna affect stealth?
It gives a negative modifier to the stealth.
Does it say how much?
It is the noisy modifier.
Also, I'm not 100% sure if I can wield medium armor.
Oh.
No.
Should say in your armor class stuff.
It is mostly to the avoid notice exploration activity. So it gives enemies a chance to detect you when you're trying to avoid notice when you're in exploration mode. So it allows creatures to do a check against your stealth.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it would load. Blank.
Oh. That's interesting.
What's interesting?
The feather fan, or the feather token fan.
What page do you have that on?
It doesn't say what page it is, but it says activating the feather requires you to fan it in a given direction. If this direction is toward the sail of a vessel, the feather flutters up towards the sail and fans continuously filling the sail with air and granting the vessel a plus 10-foot circumstance bonus to its speed for 8 hours. If fanned in any other direction, it instead produces a single casting of gust of wind.
Nice.
So that sounds like a consumable.
Yeah. And you said the gem was a fear gem?
Yes.
Was that chain mail or chain shirt?
Chain shirt.
Sure.
Got a dex cap of 3.
Dark smoke seems to rise within the acidity gem. When you activate the gem,
Oh, you
can
use
intimidate
treat
strike
wounds, don't
as a
you?
Fighter feat. You
What do you mean?
On Stheno.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Taffy is going to give
I was gonna add her
the
wounded
fear gem
condition,
to
but-
Stheno.
Oh no.
What's the fear gem?
It's affixed to a weapon. Dark smoke seems to rise within the obsidian gem. When you activate the gem, you make an intimidating strike as the fighter feat. If you have the intimidating strike feat, increase the frightened condition value from this intimidating strike to a frightened 2 or frightened 3 on a critical hit.
Cool.
It takes 2 actions to activate.
With your intimidating strike. So you perform the strike and it heightens your strike's abilities. Do you remember that is a consumable?
How do I... Oh, okay. So that's not going to be, like, in my weapon thing.
No. Actually, this is a talisman.
Right, talismans are consumables.
Oh, okay, so it goes away after use.
I can't wear that chain shirt.
You can't?
No, it's got a dex cap of 3. I got a +4.
Can Deimos wear it?
Would Deimos have medium armor?
No, actually, he only does up to light.
Okay, so we either give it to Stogrim, which I think Stogrim's got better armor,
We can sell it.
or resell it.
Loot! Fat loot!
Oh wait, no, the chain
I
shirt
thought that was
is light.
Alec for a
The chain
moment there.
shirt
Like,
is
what the
light.
fuck?
Oh, it's light.
Yeah, so the chain
well,
mail is medium.
Let me see if it'll,
Yeah, if it'll
Tell
fit
me.
you, or work for you, then...
because yes, I'd absolutely love
So why
to.
the fuck did the Bargus call Stheno a Diabolist?
Because
Because he was a demon.
Fair.
Touched by Cheliax.
Wait, he was a fiend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's a demon.
What? I thought...
So evil outsiders are generally classified under fiends. And they come in 2 flavors. Lawful, chaos.
What, and he was lawful.
No, he was chaos.
Chaos. He is a demon.
I thought... Bargus were... Oh, he was greater, so...
Yes, he is a greater Bargist.
They have to eat other Bargus.
The Mosh 2 zone.
You said you had to have a plus 16.
And that allows you to
Stuck on my
ignore
cards.
Oh,
the
God.
the movement
I'll
penalty
think of it in a minute.
as well as the -2.
Okay, I am stating I'm not taking that chain shirt, put it in the stash. It does the exact same thing, except it's noisy.
So Deimos has wandered off to go check out things with Taffy, right?
Yes. Alec is got all nice and patched up after Demos was done after about 20 minutes, after making sure that Stheno was taken care of, took her medicine. What do you want to do?
She's going to give him a firm pat on the shoulder.
Ow.
Sorry.
I hit it with the javelin.
I saw. It was very impressive.
Except for the part where it only just stuck into its hide.
Well, it's not really your fault.
It's a little macabre, but I bet that could make good leather armor.
Can you imagine what it would stink like, though?
Well, most hides stink until they're properly processed.
You're very handsome when you're being chivalrous. She's going to walk away.
Oh, okay.
Everybody flirts and aggressively walks away.
You know, he's got a point.
Taffy, no.
I think your bat wings are much better.
In fact, Taffy, no.
But
Taffy,
he's got a point.
no.
Oh, it'll be so stinky.
I mean, plus
Alright.
it's probably tainted with abyssal energies on top of that.
Yeah, you're right. Gross.
And if it had a master anywhere, if you were carrying around a piece of it, it would use it to hone in on your position, right? They teach us many things, especially how to be careful when one is potentially being viewed upon by the extraplanar.
Do you think his master's scrying on him?
I suppose if he has a master.
Probably not anymore.
I
You
mean,
done goofed!
Taffy! We do not taunt extraplanar beings.
Fuck him.
Summon one of the outer gods on us. That would not be a fun experiment, Taffy.
Well, you're probably right.
Do you think he knew that a diabolist is an actual career position?
I don't think he cared. He was just trying to get you riled up. And it kind of worked. You were pretty pissed.
I think that was the dying.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was angry before then. You just don't talk to people like that.
Renali comes up. If y'all are ready, in the next chamber, you should be very careful of the mushrooms. They get a little dusty.
Aww.
They look like a wonderful field of grass.
That thick, huh?
There are quite a few of them in there.
I could always burn the room.
And that's this chamber or this?
No, next.
It is the chamber that lies beyond, a little further down.
Who went in there?
Yeah, I went in there.
And that's where you found all this stuff?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So you go down a series of terraces, and on the center terrace and below, these are growing.
Would you recommend a mask?
If you have one available, it would be useful.
Always wear masks.
Stheno does have some fabric in her bag. She's gonna pull it out and start ripping it into appropriate sizes. I'm assuming they're not edible mushrooms.
No, definitely not edible. They have this type of spore that, well, they make one sick and they fog the mind. The mask may prevent some of it, but the spores are tenacious.
I know what the fan is for.
I have noticed they are somewhat susceptible to cold, though.
Taffy, it's
They
your
seem to shrink
rising
back from
moment.
it.
It's my time to shine.
It truly is.
Taffy's gonna skip ahead happily.
So
And you just hear her start shouting, Ray of Frost! Ray of Frost!
So as you begin skipping down the tunnel itself widens and then drops away into a series of 10-foot high cliffs, into a chamber filled with fine, hair-like filaments and mushrooms. The filaments look like bleached grass and wave erratically in the cave's natural air currents. The mushrooms glow slowly, giving the cave a strange, dreamlike feel. To the southern side, you see a 7-foot wide hole in the floor itself, dropping down into the lower chamber.
Yeah, Taffy's just gonna expend as much time as she needs to Ray of Frost out all of the mushrooms. With a mask over her face, obviously. She'll even chill touch the mask.
Chill touch doesn't work like that.
Oh.
So
It does negative damage, not actual
Oh, you're right.
with your ray, you realize that you can Ray of Frost a particular
You can do a
path through. And it takes a few castings each time to be able to do it, but luckily Ray of Frost is a cantrip.
Yep.
And you begin channel focusing your Ray of Frost on a square until the mushrooms begin wilting and shriveling up out and away. And you can create a path through in about half a minute to a minute of continued focus casting to take down a 5-foot square segment. And so within 5 minutes or so, you can create a continued casting of Ray of Frost.
Was it supposed to be that easy to get through there?
When you know how to defeat him. That's why you make friends.
Yay for diplomacy.
Plus, not everyone may have a continuous cold cantrip.
The feather could have also worked. Just flutter the spores.
No, it couldn't have. So if you step into them at all, it casts a 10-foot wide burst.
Oh.
The benefit of Taffy standing on the terrace and shooting down with the ray is that you can aim the ray in the area without ever being anywhere near the burst.
So once she's done, we can just kind of walk through the room?
You can.
Alright.
So I spend as much time as needed to do that all the way up to the hole.
You come up upon a, again, 7-foot wide hole that descends down. And it looks like it descends down quite some ways. It looks like it is a 20-foot drop downwards. And it is very sheer.
Are there any, like, rocks or anything that we could affix a rope to?
In the area that you're sitting at here, not particularly.
Stheno has an adventurer's kit that's got, like, pythons and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So you could hammer something in and use that to lower yourself down.
Probably want to see what's down there first.
Well, Renali has told us that that's where the Vanguard is, right?
Yeah. So you don't want to drop one person down, and then, like, the whole vanguard attacks them.
Right.
So Stheno's gonna lean over the hole and go, "Hello!" He really just roll dice and not even say anything.
Give me a perception check.
Okay.
Ola, or me too, since I'm right there.
Yeah.
That's a 19.
That is also a 19. Oh, no.
Oh, you fucking little frogs.